Hey everybody, I'm doing an unscheduled live stream today, and I was just going to kind of work on some of these projects that that we started a couple weeks ago. This was the last two live streams that we did. We started a wood burning of kind of a silhouette of a tree, and then we also started this poplar tree scenery. So I was just gonna take a little bit of time today and kind of touch these up a bit and continue on. So okay, so I think I've got my VersaTool fired up, and I might do some touch-up work with that for right now. If I can find all my stuff. Okay. Try and get kind of centered in the picture here. And I know that the last time I did an unscheduled live stream, I wasn't accepting, questions or anything like that, but that's fine. We can do that today. So, if anybody has questions along the way, I will be able to go ahead and answer those. Okay, there we go. I'm gonna grab a drink and we'll get started. Okay. So this is the Walnut Hollow Creative VersaTool, and the heat with this is just a little bit different than the heat from the razor tips. So this has a little bit more consistent, solid heat. Hi Cheryl, glad you could make it. Yep, it's a beautiful day outside, but I'm just kind of really in the mood to do some wood burning. And I printed out the next project. So we're going to be wood burning an elephant next. And I'll probably do a live stream, kind of an unscheduled one, and show, how I go about transferring the elephant onto the wood. And then I'm thinking I'm going to do a black background with that one too. So I'll probably pre-burn that before we get into the actual live stream. So I'm kind of starting to darken up this trunk here a little bit, but I don't want it just kind of solid dark like that. So I'll start kind of mixing in some other darker areas. There's just a lot of this tree needs to be kind of reburned. Just it's got a great foundation to build off of, but I would like some patchworks in here to be a little bit denser, a little bit darker. Hi Robert, glad you could make it to this unscheduled impromptu live stream. So I'm also going to start kind of adding some more, a little bit more texture around the edges, because in some of these areas you can still see the pattern underneath. So I'll be doing a little bit of instruction along the way, but not a whole lot, because this is pretty pretty much the same thing that we did the first time that we burned this. I'm still doing that wiggle worm technique, kind of back and forth. I'm also doing some of that circle motion that we did on the poplar trees. And then I'll probably go ahead and add in the foreground when we get to that point as well. So if you did not see this original live stream where we burned this tree, I think we did that 2 weeks ago. Anyway, it's available on Patreon, as are all of my other live streams. So I think there's a total of 17 live streams on there now. So that's like a ton of that. And each live stream is about 2 hours. So there's a ton of footage on there now, which is really cool. Come on. The bottom isn't quite level, so I've got kind of a teeter-totter hinge point right here that's messing with me a little bit, but just have to make do. So I'm just going to spend some time here and kind of putter around a little bit and just kind of do some fine-tuning work, finish work. It's amazing how this still, I mean, it looks pretty dark on the screen, but it's still just mostly dark brown. I haven't quite got that really dark black value yet. So I'm supposed to get my my equipment for my mobile wood-burning studio in today. So I'm excited to kind of try out some of those items and see how they're going to work, so that I can wood burn in my car, parked of course, and be able to kind of travel and still be able to park and get some work done. So I'll have to let everybody know how that turns out. And there's really not much difference between doing this with the Versatool or the razor tip. I was using the small round shader from about, when was it? 2009, I think, is when I bought those. So they've changed them up a little bit since then. I've been practicing the terminology on the razor tip pens, so I make sure that I say the correct pens when working with them. Yeah, Cheryl, I'm excited for the mobile studio as well, and I think it might be something that's going to be pretty fun. Hi, Angela. Glad you could make it. Yes, it is a nice lunchtime surprise break. I just finished a little bite to eat. A little bit late, but that's okay. But I thought I didn't want to get too far behind on some of our projects here, so I thought I'd just go ahead and dive in and set up a live stream and just kind of piddle around with this for a little bit. I might go ahead and dive into that foreground real quick and get that started. I'm going to go ahead and sand down these guidelines just a little bit here so they're not so noticeable. So I've got, probably ought to darken this tree up just a little bit more. I'm going to put in a little bit of a shadow here. Usually try to keep some of this stuff a little bit lighter to begin with, because you can always go darker. So we have kind of a shadow right down below. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and I think put in some of this grass. I might switch over to the razor tip for this one. Doing okay, bud? Yeah. Okay. So I'll probably use this older style small round shader with the beveled edges. As soon as I can get my unit over here. Come here. Okay. Alright, so I'm going to start on a level 4 to begin with. And so I'm going to do just some upwards and downward strokes, kind of like grass in here, but it's going to be all kind of jumbled together. It's going to kind of look like fur strokes with a few little irregular patches. And I want to put some of that in the shadow as well. Let me zoom in a bit. Ooh, that's too far. Okay, let's try there, guys. layer, like to a number 5. So I'm going to really kind of change up both with hard edges and soft edges throughout here. Grass can be kind of monotonous and tedious, so it's important, I think, to kind of jump around to try to help keep it random. And as with most things, a lot of layers is good for something like this. I know it looks a little bit wonky right now, but I'll just keep adding layers and I'll try to break this up and make it look a little bit better. So as I continue to add layers, this is going to kind of even out and look a little bit better. So I'm almost done with like the texture layer here. And even though the grass is all kind of going, you know, upward, I'm still going to try to vary the angle just a little bit in here. And I know it looks like really spiky right now, but I'll tone that down here in a bit as well. But this is a nice underlying layer of texture. So that's a good kind of a base layer. And then we can kind of go back through, darken up some areas. And I'm also going to soften these areas too with some more soft edges and kind of more shading over the top of the texture. Thank you, TH. Glad you could make it. So this is just going to really kind of soften the look of the grass a little bit. Okay, so I'm gonna set that off to the side for now. Okay, I'm gonna need a short intermission, so I will be back in just a few minutes. Alright guys, so sorry about that delay. Okay, so I think I'm gonna switch back over to the Versatile real quick. One thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this thing sideways. And I'm going to work a little bit on it this way. A couple of reasons, because we've got this nice little ground looking thing here in the back. So we're going to develop a little bit of atmosphere in the back. And there's also some areas in here too. So I don't like that this little spiky transition thing here, so I'm going to tone that down. And we'll just kind of blend it in. Thanks everybody for liking the, I see there's been a few people that have liked the live stream today, and I really appreciate that. That always helps with algorithms and all the crazy YouTube world. So thank you guys. Like I was saying a little bit earlier today, I'm expecting to get in some of my equipment for my mobile wood burning studio so I can wood burn in my car. I'm also trying to figure out how I can video in my car too, so that maybe I can do more live streams during the day, so that, you know, people around the world that are in different time zones might be able to join in a little bit better. So I'm working on being able to film and live stream as well. I'll have to make sure I have good Wi-Fi, but I think it'd be a fun challenge. Okay, so see, that's softening that edge quite a bit. We need to anchor this tree to the ground because it's kind of floating right now. I think it would be neat to take several of these tree wood burnings and add maybe like a painted background or something to them of different colors, and then hang them all on the wall together as kind of a nice little tree collage. And again, if anybody has any questions, I'm happy to answer questions today. is coming along pretty well. Another thing that I often will do with grass is put in some flat sections here and there. I think it kind of breaks up that monotonous, repetitive, you know, the straight up and down with the blades of grass. I think it helps to kind of break it up a little bit. And we need to darken our shadow on the tree a little bit more too. And this piece of wood is a little bit longer than my reference photo, so I'm going to add a little bit a wider shadow down here, because I know that the branches are going to have an influence on our shadows here. Take a look at that. So that's looking pretty good so far. I think I'm going to add in a little bit more of this atmosphere from this angle. And then I'll have to turn the burner down to get, we're going to put in like a little row of trees here in the back, I think. The bowl is out in the back. You see it? Okay. So I'm just going to put in a little bit of a bank of color here. A bank of value to start with. And then I'll blend it up into like some trees in the distance. So when you have atmosphere, it's usually darker at the bottom and it'll get lighter towards the top. So I'm going to try to add that in here. Now I think I'm going to turn this burner down because I've been operating at full heat. I need a new piece of tape, but I'll have to go find it later. So I'm going to be right here where the orange meets the red. And I'm going to kind of keep working in this angle for just a little bit while the burner kind of cools down a little bit. So I'm going to start going up. and making it lighter as I go. Hi, Apple Mose, Art and Photography. Glad you could join in. You're saying that you're new to the channel? Cool. Thank you very much for joining. I usually do live streams every Friday at 6 o'clock p.m. Mountain Time. But on occasion I'll do a midday live stream just to finish up some of the projects that we've been working on. So that's what I'm doing today. It takes a few layers to just get this kind of smoothed out. Okay. Now, let's see. I'm going to go ahead and switch this over and go back upright. So, I'm liking this so far down here with the grass that we put in. And on the reference photo, you can see like a little bit bank of trees. Which is always fun, so I'll go ahead and put those in. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and keep going here. Apple Mose, Art and Photography says, I'm interested in pyrography for quite some time. Yesterday, my neighbor gave me her old wood burner. Cool. It's a cheap solid tip pyrography with only one heat, so I'm curious what I can make with it. You know, that's what I started out with, was basically something, it was the same brand as this, but it just had either on or off. It didn't have a variable temperature control. And that's what I started on. That's what I did most of my artwork with. So you can do a lot with it for sure. Blowing on the point can help for some of these lighter values. In fact, I'm going to do that a little bit here as I kind of put in a little bank of trees. And there's a little bit difference between, you know, my horizontal strokes and then my vertical strokes here. So I'm going to work on blending that together here in just a bit. Okay. All right, so I'm going to kind of go back over and blend this a little bit more and take out some of those horizontal strokes and make it to where everything kind of blends in here. So Apple Mose, if you're new to wood burning, you might go take a look at my website. There's some information there, and you can kind of see what's possible with wood burning. MinisaPyrography.com is my website. So you can jump over there if you have time, and kind of you can take a look and see some of the projects, most of the projects that I've created are with the solid point burner like this. Just recently I've been challenging myself to use other wood burning tools, mostly because people, you know, people have different tools. So I'm trying to teach with more other tools as well. Now something really cool that I'm seeing in this reference photo is a little bit of like almost light beams coming through. So I think I'm going to kind of add in some of those. Now I can't burn the light, so I'm going to push some of these values a little bit darker and see if I can't create the illusion of some light beams coming through the tree. You're very welcome, Apple Moves. I hope I'm saying that right. But you're very welcome. And I have, you know, I've got some other instructional material there. I have a few instructional videos here on YouTube as well, if you have a chance to kind of browse those. Most of these live streams, after they're over, I take them over and I put them on Patreon so that my patrons over there have a nice library to kind of browse through. But I try to offer these live streams for free because I know it's hard times right now for everybody. Okay, so I see like a little bit of like rays of light coming through there, so that's kind of fun. So I think I might darken that up a little bit, but anyway, I'm happy with that foreground for now. Apple Mose is basically applesauce in Dutch. Wow, cool. If you want, you can call me Anne. Well, thank you, Anne. I appreciate that. And it's very nice to meet you. Oh, if I'm going to do these trees, I need to turn my burner up. Okay, here we go. All right, now we're all the way back up. Trying to keep my, it's time for a new piece of tape, but that's okay. Okay, so I'm going to darken up just a little bit of this atmosphere while my burner is rewarming. Thank you, TH. Yeah, those, hi Sophie. Yeah, I like those little light beams kind of shining through. Robert says, your work is amazing and you are talented. Thank you. I have all your digital downloads as I live in the UK. Cool. I appreciate that so much. Robert says, may I ask one thing? In using the 5-shade method, I am really struggling with the midtones. Okay. And you're using a Coalwood Super Pro system. Okay, I've not used that one before, but it'd be neat if I could see some of your work, Robert. If you want, you can email that to me, and I might be able to kind of tell what's tell what you're struggling with. 5 shading method with the midtones. Okay. Do you find that your midtones are too dark or too light? I guess I'll put my email here, guys. Let's do this one here. Okay, so there's my email. If you want to send some photos, then I can take a look at. Okay, Anne is saying my wood burner comes with a leaf shape tip like that too. I just played with it this evening, but it seems like the very tip of that leaf doesn't do anything on your machine. Okay, interesting. Yeah, so you can see with this one, let me get a better angle, but you can see that upper part that's kind of shiny, that's pretty much most of what contacts the wood. Is I just draw with that upper point. I will do black backgrounds and I'll lay the thing flat on the wood, but for right now I'm just I just kind of use that upper point. Another thing, Anne, is when you turn on your wood burning tool, especially these larger soldering iron types, you need to leave it plugged in and on for about 5 minutes before you try to do anything with it. These take about 5 minutes to reach their optimal temperature. So if you just plug it in and turn it on and try to get something done right away, it usually is very frustrating because you're not going to make any marks. So you might make sure and let it warm up nicely. Another thing, like if you blow on the point, it can cool it down. If you're working near a breeze or have a fan going nearby, that can also pull a lot of the heat out of the pen. I've even found that using, I guess, plugging my point into, like an extension cord, or, you know, the bank, what is it? I can't think of the name, where you plug in all your cords. Power strip. Gosh. If you plug your wood burner into a power strip and the power strip is running something big, like a heater, then that's also going to pull power away from your soldering iron. So just a few tips in regards to making sure that the point is hot enough. So I'm just going to kind of play around here with the foliage a little bit more. So Robert, you're saying that your midtones look almost the same shade. Okay. Are you making sure that your darks are dark enough? Because I find that if you need to make like a black value and it's only just a light brown, a dark brown, then you're going to have a harder time establishing some of those midtones. So I find that really pushing your values dark enough first will help give you a little bit more range in the middle. So I hope that makes sense. Okay, so Anne is saying, yes, I had a timer for heating up and cooling down, but it looks like the round part, the heel of that leaf, heats up the most. Okay. It could be that your burner is maybe too old and you may just need to get a new one. I know that one was given to you, but Michael's, shoot, I don't know where you're located. It depends. So Anne, if you feel like sharing where you're located, that's fine. If not, that's okay. But if you're in the United States, there's Michael's store where you can get a coupon for like 40% off any one item. I think they're still doing that coupon. And so these Walnut Hollow Creative Versatools are about roughly $30. They might be closer to $40 now. You know, everything's just getting more pricey. But if you get that coupon for 40% off, that can make these burners just a lot more affordable. So if you're out of the United States, you can still get these burners and maybe have them shipped to you. But if your electrical system is different, you might have to get an adapter. But I've got several of these that really help. So you're in the Netherlands. Okay. Yeah, I would look on Amazon. Now, I don't know in the Netherlands what your power system is like. This is, I think it's just a 110? 120 volt. So you might have to get on Amazon, I've seen little adapters to go from like American electricity to like European electricity or stuff like that. So just something that you might have to purchase as well. And if you can't find one on Amazon, let me know. On occasion, I will package up and send these burners to people overseas if they can't get them. I don't work for Walnut Hollow or anything. I just, you know, try to help people out that way. So I'm filling in some more dainty foliage in some of these little keyhole windows and trying to cover up some of my transfer lines. You're welcome, Robert. I hope that helps. Because I find that if I'm struggling in the mid-range values, it's probably because my darks aren't dark enough. And then that'll give you more room to get the that full range of values that you need. So I'm almost doing like a little bit of a pointillism, kind of a stippling method here for some of the very edges of the tree. Okay, Anne. Yeah, that sounds cool. Yeah, go ahead and look and see what you can find on Amazon for sure. Yeah. Yeah, the razor tip is like I have the dual pen system and it was about $300 for the unit. And then each of the pens, like the heavy duty pens are like, I've got my receipt here. Yeah. Each of the heavy duty pens is over $36 a piece. So some of the smaller pens are, you know, 30 bucks a piece. So something to keep in mind, that it can be a little daunting trying to figure out which pen you want and which point you want. And now those are the fixed pens. So let me show you here. So those are the fixed pens like this. These are the heavy duty fixed pens and they're over 36 a piece. And Razor Tip is a Canadian company, so I'm not sure if they ship overseas. I don't know. Good question. But like this is the small round shader. And I usually put a bevel on mine so you can see my point is a little bit more pointy instead of round because I sand them down because I'm used to this one. But anyway, some of the pens you can get like the pen part and then you can interchange the points and that might be a cheaper route to go. Okay, Robert, I'm glad that makes sense. Okay, so this tree is looking pretty darn good. I mean, I could dink around with this for quite a while. I would really like to kind of take out some of the texture and smooth it over and make a little bit thicker branches in here. Okay, so Anne, you're saying that you can't find many wood burning systems there in the Netherlands, but you do have some stores with a razor tip. Well, that is really cool. You know, it'd be neat is if you could go to a store or something and they'd let you try out the different pens. That would be so cool. Because I wound up purchasing like an assortment of pens, not knowing which one would work best for me. So, and some of them I like just don't use. So, it'd be neat if you could try them out first. So I'm just kind of making some of these areas a little bit thicker and denser looking by doing some smooth shading over the top of our texture. Okay, well, I might go ahead and stop there for now on that guy, because I like the way that's going. I'll kind of zoom out a little bit for you. So there we go. We've got our shadow, which could be a little bit darker, and some grass in there, and you've got like a little bank of trees in the background with some light shining through. So that one is okay for now. And I might go ahead and work on this a little bit because I was really going fast during the last live stream with this one here. So let's see about adjusting my camera. And I did all this with the razor tip. So I like to kind of go back and touch up with the Versatool because it's still probably my favorite pen. I'm able to do most everything I need and want to do with this one point. So that makes me happy. No, I think I might work on the foreground a little bit. So I'm going to just turn that sideways. So I'm still on full power right now. So I was going to burn this whole foreground kind of in a gradient, and then we ran out of time during the live stream, so I wound up just kind of putting in some patchy shadows, which I actually liked better. So I think we're going to kind of build off of that and continue with that overall idea. So I'm kind of deviating a little bit from my reference photo because it's got like this little canal thing there, and I don't really want the viewer's eye, you don't want it to leave the picture like that. You want to keep everybody's focus kind of inside the frame of your picture. So I'm going to change this to just kind of like a meadow. And then people's eyes will be drawn in by that little pathway and then up to the trees. So I think that'll be a little better. Now, kind of as a rule in scenery, usually the stuff that's closer to the viewer is going to be darker, and then things will get lighter and a bit more muted as they recede into the distance. So based on that, I'm going to make sure that some of these shadows in here are going to be some of the darker pieces within the project. And that just kind of takes some time to build up those values. Now I'm not really going to put in grass texture on this one. I'm going to kind of leave that open to the viewer's imagination. Because maybe it's just a really smooth meadow. Okay, so it looks like we've been going for about an hour today. I think I'm gonna have to call this this a live stream short today. I've got a little bit of a schedule to take care of. So I want to thank everybody for showing up, and I'll come back to this and keep working on this at another time. But I'm gonna have to get going today. Anyway, we'll keep going on this, and then this one was a lot of fun. So again, thank you so much everybody for joining in. And if you if you get a chance to join in on Fridays at, that would be 6 o'clock Mountain Time, I do live streams then. All right, well everybody have a great rest of your day.